Good morning. Happy Monday, January 27th. This is the Bill Press Show. However, I am not Bill Press. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill all 3 hours today and today only. He'll be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, I appreciate you tuning in and finding the show. We are tweeting live at BP Show, You should follow there. Follow along with the program, and I'm still tweeting at Peter Ogburn all throughout the program today. We've got so much stuff to cover. Last night, the Grammy Awards. Who were the big winners? Who were the big losers? Who got married during the Grammy Awards? We'll tell you. Make sure you tune in to this week's show. We'll tell you all about it. Plus, Mike Huckabee still under fire for his comments about women and their out-of-control libidos. We'll talk about that and what the Republican Party can do about this latest war on women from Mike Huckabee. I mentioned the Grammy Awards. The Oscars are coming up in a little over a month. I spent the weekend viewing a couple of different Oscar-nominated movies. I'm going to talk about that. Plus, I got a chance to sit down and watch the new documentary all about Mitt Romney's run for president. I have a lot of thoughts about that. We're going to talk about that with some of our guests. Plus, another day, another deadly shooting here outside of Washington, D.C., close to Baltimore at the Columbia Mall. 2 people dead, including, I should say 3 people dead, one of them being the shooter who gunned down 2 people in the middle of a very busy mall over the weekend. So like I said, a lot of stuff coming up here on the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn. I do hope you stick around with us because we've got so much to talk about. Remember, tomorrow is the State of the Union, so we're going to be previewing that as well. Taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS. What do you want to hear the president say in his State of the Union? We'll take your calls coming up. It's the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, it is the Bill Press Show. Good morning, Monday, January 27th. Clearly, I am not Bill Press. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill today. Thank you all so very much for tuning in with the B team, doing what I can here this morning. Bill's going to be back tomorrow, so don't freak out. I know the tendency to run amok when the host is away is there and to leave. Please don't. We got a lot of good stuff, a lot of good guests coming up. My mentality when I host the show is I bring in a lot of good, smart people to help me do the show. So not unlike the way that you take a donut with its empty, vacuous center and surround it with wonderful things that everyone loves. That's my mentality. So we've got Olivier Knox from Yahoo News is coming in. Politico's Katie Glick is going to be joining us. Stephen Shepard from National Journal's Hotline and Jess McIntosh, Communications Director for Emily's List, is going to be joining us in studio as well. A big, big week on tap. State of the Union is tomorrow night. Grammys were last night. We're going to be recapping those here in just a few moments. If you're watching the show, you're either watching us on Free Speech TV, seen on DirecTV and Dish Network and the Roku box, however you could get your hands on it. We appreciate you being there. And if you're streaming us live online, or if you'd like to stream us live online, we are at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. We appreciate all of our viewers and, of course, our listeners on all of the finest progressive radio stations around the country. Tweeting at BP Show, and I'm tweeting at Peter Ogburn, PeterOgburn. I think I got all the plugs out of the way. I think we could say hello to everybody. Let's say good morning to Elisa Murphy, running the board this morning. Elisa,
hello.
Monday.
Happy Monday. Looking good, Peter.
This is your first time running the board and producing the show when I'm in here, right?
Yes.
Buckle up.
First time. I know.
Buckle up. You're going to have to cover up all of my screw-ups, and there will be many.
No.
Many. Our phone number is 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. If you call that number, you will be lucky enough to talk to Alicia Cruz, who is here in studio with me. You're on microphone.
Finally.
Hi.
How are you?
Bizarre. This is so weird to have you in here.
It is weird. It's very weird.
There's a reason we have you in here, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But I have to say, because I'm contractually obligated to say good morning to Cyprian Bolding, or else you know how he gets.
Yeah, you got to be nice to him.
You know how he gets. Everybody have a good weekend?
Yeah, really nice weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah, it didn't snow. We thought we were going to have that snow on Saturday. We didn't have any.
I know. I had a pretty low-key weekend. I saw a couple of movies. Yesterday was my 6-year-old's birthday party. He turns 6 today. Today is his actual birthday.
How exciting.
So happy birthday, Magnus.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
6 years old. The most terrifying 6-year-old I've ever met in my entire life. He's horrifying, this kid.
Stop it.
But like yesterday, so he's at the age now where what we do is we don't, like last year was Chuck E. Cheese. And after we did, never again.
I did that 3 years already.
Did you?
My child loves it. I don't know why.
Never again.
I know.
He loved it too.
I'm over it.
He loved it
I'm
too.
over it.
But
yeah.
Put the foot down. He said, nope, no more. But he's 6. So we were kind of like, all right, why don't you invite like 10 of your friends over? And you can play video games. We can watch a movie. We get pizza and cake. And that way we don't have to go anywhere. Because he's all about the video games now. Because we get that Wii U situation at Christmas.
I don't have it, but yeah, it looks fun.
So here's the dirty little secret of being a parent and being at birthday parties. So we had like 10 kids yesterday, all at our house. So the big secret, Sipper, you get a shot of this. The big secret, right, is you always keep one of these handy. You always keep the old boot flask handy when you're at the birthday party with your kids. That's the secret. That's the secret. Yeah. I mean, you could do wine, but like, you know, that's classy.
Yeah.
Right? Like the moms that were there, like they were maybe sipping a little bit of wine, and then like, Dad kept sneaking off to just like, what's Daddy doing?
Cute if you actually had
one grabbing his boot.
Yeah, that was me.
If you actually had a Toy Story themed birthday party, that would go with the motif.
That's a good idea.
You have a flask in your boot.
I'm not so sure that Woody was tying one on in the toy box.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. That's a really messed up sequel. So anyway, happy birthday to Magnus. That's what we did. And so like I have to leave here right after the show because I'm going to do lunch with him.
Aww.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's true. I'm pretty amazing.
You sound pretty amazing.
It's 11 minutes past the hour. Like I said, Bill's going to be back tomorrow. And so while Bill's away, I get to talk about stuff like the Grammys. Because that was last night. And Alicia, that's why I brought you in. Because you do music radio.
Yes.
You're familiar with some of these bands.
Yes.
I am not so much.
Well, you're familiar with some of them.
I'm familiar with some
I would
of
say
them.
you're not a fan.
Okay,
of
so
some
like
of the
the biggest winner last night was probably Daft Punk.
Yes, and I'm excited for them.
I like Daft Punk.
I do too.
They've
and
been
I
around
think
for a
the
while.
song, like you said, the album wasn't all that, but that song was a crossover.
Get Lucky?
Yes, crossover phenomenon. Who has not heard that song?
Everybody heard it.
Yeah.
Like it was officially the song of the summer
Right.
of 2013.
Exactly. So they
and it was
deserved
Monster.
Yeah.
And Pharrell, I mean, that's one of the most talented guys in music today.
I wasn't feeling the hat though. The
That hat.
Smokey the Bear hat.
What was going on with that hat? He was wearing like an Adidas
right.
track jacket
Well,
situation.
I think maybe he was compensating for the fact that his wife is taller than him. So I think the hat was like trying to reach
It looked
her.
like a Canadian Mountie hat. But he's not a big guy, right?
No,
like he's
no.
kind of a slight guy, and he doesn't look like he's that tall. And this hat, I swear to God, this hat is like 2 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it looks like a Canadian
known
Mountie
for making
hat.
fashion statements, and he's usually good with fashion.
Oh, that's
but
a statement.
This one, I don't know if that one's going to catch on.
I like Daft Punk,
Yeah.
but I'm a little like I feel like I'm a little old when I'm listening to Daft Punk.
No, I don't think so.
I'm like, well, I'm like dad, like I can't.
But I don't feel like if somebody saw you
story.
listening to Daft Punk in the car, they'd be like, "Oh, he's too old."
See, I feel like that.
No,
I
I don't
feel like
think
I would
so.
never get
No.
caught dead listening to that.
Because Pharrell is how old?
I don't know.
Pharrell
He
is
looks
like
good.
50, but he
Is
looks 20. Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I don't look 20. Like I'm mid 30s and I look 50. That's my problem.
No, you don't.
No, I was going to go see Daft Punk in concert. I went to go try and buy tickets, and the woman at the counter said, "No, you can't buy tickets." And I said, "What? Are you sold out?" She goes, "No, you can't buy tickets." I said, "Are you sold out?" She goes, "No, you're in your mid 30s. You can't go to a Daft Punk concert." That actually happened.
No, that's not true.
No, that didn't happen. All right, so what else?
Beyonce.
Beyonce started the show.
Yeah.
All right, what happened
That was
there?
like the big thing
You
that
watched it.
everybody was looking out for.
Full disclosure, I didn't watch 1 minute of it.
Yeah.
So this is why you're here.
Well, Drunken Love, everybody was looking forward to seeing them perform that because the album was a phenomenon. I would have to say that because I'm a hip hop and R&B fan, that this is the first album since the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill from a female that I have listened to in my car over and over and over. And if you're a Beyonce fan, and I would say before this, I wasn't like the biggest Beyonce fan. So people were really excited to see her and Jay-Z perform this. It's a sexually liberating song.
Okay.
And it was the first time we really seen Beyonce step out and just be very sexual.
Really?
But it wasn't like Miley Cyrus.
I was gonna say, like Miley Cyrus
She
stepped
can
out and
pull
got
it-
sexual
she-
for the first time.
She was classy. And I don't know how she did that because she's wearing a black thong, but she was still classy and beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that you weren't a big Beyonce fan before this, that you are now. Because like I felt like I would just get crucified every time that I was just like, I'm not really feeling Beyonce. I respect her. I think she's one of the most talented people in music, but I just
she's very talented. But before I used to think sometimes she was overly hyped, and that some of her songs we just started to like them because they played them so much because she had so much backing with her team.
Answer me this question.
Yeah.
What is a Macklemore? I don't understand what that is.
He's a rapper from
Okay.
Seattle.
It's from Seattle.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the hype with
He's
him.
a white gentleman.
Yeah, and he's talented.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Some people argue that he should not have won all the awards that he's won,
I'm gonna tell you something.
especially against Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I gotta tell you, I don't understand this Macklemore character.
Yeah.
I haven't heard his music. I haven't heard one of his songs. But he spoke afterwards. This is why I have some respect for him, because he's got this one. What's the song? Same Love or One Love?
I
is
love
it?
that song.
Well, is that what it's called? Same
Yes,
Love?
yes.
So it's apparently been adopted by same-sex couples.
Marriage.
As like their song, because they're saying like it doesn't matter what you believe in or what God you serve or whatever, like everybody's the same. And so
Right,
he
right.
talked about that afterwards when he won Best New Artist and a couple of other awards.
Yeah. And
I thank the Grammys for giving us this platform because, 10 years ago, I don't think that a song like Same Love would have been embraced on this level by any mainstream media. And the fact that radio got behind it, the fact that television got behind it, that award shows got behind it, it's a testament to where we're headed. and in this country.
So like I respect him for that.
Yeah.
I don't know his
that.
music.
Well, it's also his story. I think that people are drawn to him because he was a drug addict, and he was struggling in the music industry. And he obviously is not like a 21-year-old guy. He's probably in his 30s, and he had a struggle. And I think his girlfriend kind of helped him pull himself up and put him back together. And he basically got all of the success and sold all these albums independently. So he was able to pull himself together, overcome his drug habit, and become a massive star without the backing of a label.
So but isn't it true though? Wasn't his first song that Thrift Shop song that got a lot of play?
Yes.
Did you ever hear that song, Peter?
No.
Yeah, it's very
So that's
quirky.
pretty funny.
Yeah,
that was
quirky.
actually like really a smart way to break out.
I don't know that song. I have to listen to that
I
song
think it
during
was
the break
smart
before I pass
for
judgment.
him to come
Well,
out
it's
with
called
that.
Thrift Shop?
Yeah.
Thrift Shop, and it's kind of like a parody of like, if you got $20 in your pocket, what are you going to do? And he was basically making fun of a lot of people that maybe spend like $100 on a t-shirt.
Yeah, like
crappy clothes?
Yeah, like people
That's a
spending
dumb song.
$200 on
That's a dumb song. No, that's a stupid song. I hate that song.
Well, that's where your age comes into play.
See? Yeah, okay. See? I knew I was right.
No, but I think that song made him popular because, everything before this was all about having money and this, that, and the other in the hip-hop world. And I think it was smart for him to come out with that.
I like that.
Because it crossed over for him. Like, people outside of the hip-hop world were drawn to that thrift shop store. Yeah.
I mean, my mother liked that song.
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
in her 60s.
Yeah. So I don't know if he should have won Best New Artist.
Well,
and I don't know if he's the best lyricist. I think it's the story that people like about him.
So he won Best New Artist. He won, what else here? He won a couple of Best Rap Album or something like that.
That's the thing that's really irritating.
Yeah,
people
Best
in
Rap
the
Album
hip-hop
and Best Rap.
community.
Thrift Shop won for Best Rap Song.
Was that the best rap song? Come on now.
Get outta here.
I don't think so. No.
Well, Kendrick Lamar, I think, had one of the better albums.
And he's a phenomenal
But here's why
lyricist.
here's why I'm happy he didn't win Best New Artist. Because he'll actually be around. Everybody who wins Best New Artist just drops off the face of the earth.
That's true.
That's what happens. You win Best New Artist, and then you're done.
Yeah. What about Lorde? Do you think she should have won?
What is she, like 12?
She looks like she's 30, but they're saying she's 17.
She's 17 from New Zealand.
Someone tell me about this.
She's
Lorde.
from New Zealand.
I hear Lorde
she
talked
looks
about.
like she's having a seizure when she's performing.
Speaking of which, let me tell you something. This Taylor Swift character, I am so over.
What is your problem?
Really?
I am so over. Do you see whenever Daft Punk won Album of the Year? I just saw the clip this morning because I didn't watch 1 second of the show last night. She puts on this sourpuss face with all the cameras on everybody, and she's just a grumpopotamus, just sitting there when she doesn't win and somebody else wins. Give it a rest.
That's why we need
Give it
Kanye
a
West.
Rest. You know what? Team Kanye on that.
Team Kanye.
Next time she wins an award, I hope Kanye goes up there and just smashes her award.
I
That's
bet if
what I want.
Kanye was there, she might have been a little different.
But then I saw her performance, and I didn't hear any of it, but she's banging her head back and forth like she's rock and roll. Get out of here with that crap.
She's thug life now.
Yeah. Get out of here with that crap.
I appreciate what she brings.
I don't.
For the young women, to teach them to express themselves and not take crap from men. I do like that.
You know what? Here's my life lesson to young women, right? Having been a young woman many, many times.
Yes, right.
Just stop whining all the time. She just whines constantly. Just stop whining.
That's why she can't keep a man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Look, you said it, not me. It kind of bugs me. The Black Sabbath one for Best Metal Performance. These are the ones that I give a crap about, right? Like I care about metal performance. Paul McCartney won for Best Rock Song. That's silly. Led Zeppelin won for Best Rock Album. Give me a break. Queens of the Stone Age had the greatest rock album of last year.
I heard they performed with 9 Inch Nails, too.
Is that right?
I bet that was spectacular.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Me too.
I would watch the hell out of that. Okay, so there's our Grammys rundown. You know what? I will say this. Like I said, I didn't watch it, but the coverage that I'm reading about and recapping, I saw no mentions of this Justin Bieber character. I saw no mentions of Miley Cyrus. I didn't see many mentions of, what's that kid's name? Dr. Seaver's kid. Robin Thicke?
Oh,
I didn't see any of the Robin Thicke.
Well, he performed with Chicago.
Is that right?
Yeah. I have mixed emotions about him, but he does have good music.
Mediocre rock band from the 70s reunites with a mediocre.
They're probably friends with his dad.
Good
He grew up in the Hollywood Hills.
Had to be.
Yeah.
Why would anybody care about Chicago and Robin Thicke? If you tuned into the Grammys and you gave a crap about that,
I did see someone that was excited to see them.
Who
perform.
was?
Somebody that actually works in radio.
Who? Yeah, you know what? Tell that person.
Program director in Philadelphia.
You tell that person, I said, get a life. Get a life. Go outside.
Why are you such a Chicago hater?
Because they're boring and they're from the 70s. And it's like, come on. It's the Grammys. You think
Paul McCartney was there?
You know what? Boring. Boring.
So
if he came
you
out,
are not just a hater of new. You're a hater of old.
I like old stuff. But I mean, if we're talking about the Grammys.
It should be fresh and new.
Come on. What do I care?
Give the old guys a chance. Make some money. Sell some albums.
That's right. All right. It's 21 minutes past the hour. There's our Grammy recap. Bottom line, Daft Punk was the big winner. They had Album of the Year. They had Record of the Year. And Taylor Swift is still annoying. So there's your recap.
And I am happy about it. Alicia Keys and Rihanna winning.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I like them. All right, it's about 21 minutes past the hour. We're going to kick off the actual show here in just a couple of moments. We'll talk some politics. It's okay. Give me a break. Mike Huckabee is still in trouble, still taking heat for his comments about women and their libidos.
Oh, my God.
We're going to talk about that after a quick break. It's the Bill Press Show. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. 866-557-7377. Peter Ogburn sitting in for Bill. We'll be right back.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show, live on Free Speech TV and TawkrTV. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press, tweeting at Peter Ogburn. So we played the clip of Mike Huckabee last week when he was speaking to the Republican National Committee. And if you haven't heard it, do we have that queued up, Elisa? Can we hear that? Let's hear Mike Huckabee, what he had to say.
And if the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing for them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it. Let us take that discussion all across America because women are far more than the Democrats have played them to be.
So he took a healthy amount of criticism for those comments. I think maybe not even enough criticism for that, but he defended his idea, his comments on Saturday. He blamed it on the Twitter culture for taking things out of context. He says, you quote, "You cannot reduce thoughtful discussions to 140 characters and carry on what I would call an intellectually responsible conversation." So he called his comments part of a thoughtful discussion. Ladies especially, give us a call at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. I would like to know under what context those comments made sense and were okay. And by the way, I am encouraging women with out-of-control libidos to call in because you will go to the front of the line here on the Uncle Sugar Show. That's true. It's true. That's what they call me. They call me Uncle Sugar. No, my name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in. Lots more to say about Mike Huckabee, but I want to hear what you have to say at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan, big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, it is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill today. Thank you all for being there. Watching us live on Free Speech TV or streaming us at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV, TawkrTV. That's how you spell Talker these days, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. So check us out there. We're also broadcasting live on your favorite progressive radio station all around the country. So we appreciate it. We're talking about Mike Huckabee because last week, towards the end of the week, he was speaking of the Republican National Committee luncheon, where he talked about sort of this view that some Republicans have that there are women out there who are helpless creatures who just want to lean on the government for their government cheese and for their birth control. And as Mike Huckabee put it, they lean on Uncle Sugar. Uncle Sugar is what he referred to the government. Said Uncle Sugar coming in and providing them with a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government. I'm not a woman, as you could probably tell. But I don't think that they are getting birth control to, quote, control their libido. I'm not sure that that's how it's worked. That's how it works. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. I can't do this show without you at 866-557-7377. I really would like to hear from you and get your comments because on Saturday, Mike Huckabee defended his comments and he blamed the Twitter culture, which if you're going to have an excuse, this ain't a bad one. I was taken out of context. You can, quote, you cannot reduce thoughtful discussions to 140 characters and carry on what I would call an intellectually responsible conversation, he said. Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that what he said was a pretty clear little insight into what's going on into the psyche of some Republicans. Not all Republicans. I think that there were a lot of Republicans and conservatives who sort of jumped out and denounced these comments. It was just like, hey, look, mathematically speaking, there are more white men politicians than there are women. That's just a fact. So if we're going to win elections and get the votes of women, we need to learn how to speak to women, and we don't tell them that they are leaning on the government to supply them with birth control and drugs to control their libido. 866-55-PRESS. 866-557-7377. Joey in Chicago is on the line. Joey, dude, are you there?
Morning, guys. Morning, everybody.
Yo, I saw that.
Good job there.
Right? Didn't you do a good job?
Yeah, she did a great job.
Dude, first of all, before we get onto this, Joey, how cold is it right now? I saw that it could get down to like minus 45 in Chicago today.
Yeah, it's it's minus 35 with the wind chill, but
Get
the
out of here.
actual temperatures, the actual temperature is 5 below. And tomorrow it's going to be 18 below without the wind chill. We're really not used to this.
Hang on, 18 below without the wind chill?
Yeah, that's tomorrow morning. Yeah.
What do you do in that kind of weather?
Nothing. Stay in the house and drink.
Yeah, that's a good idea, dude. I do that.
Radio stations.
I do that when it gets to 55.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll give you that, Peter.
All right. What's your take on Huckabee?
I didn't know fighting for women means denying them rights to their medical choices. I didn't know fighting for them means you take that right away from them. Everything they do. And by the way, shouldn't they pay women the same amount as they pay men?
Sure.
The Republicans, they didn't stand up for that either. So I'm not quite sure what the meaning of for is. They changed the meaning of the word for.
It's kind of remarkable, just the whole view of a lot of these politicians. And I just find it to be such a surreal experience to watch these. This isn't a knock on religious people, but Mike Huckabee wears his religion on his sleeve. He's a former pastor. He's a Southern Baptist, and there is a certain attitude among Southern Baptists towards women, and I say that having grown up in a Southern Baptist church. I tell the story of when I was a younger man. The rule in my house, right, was as long as you're living in my parents' house, this is what they told me, as long as you're living in our house, you will go to church. And so I was living in their house. I was about 15 or 16, and I had a girlfriend, a bona fide girlfriend. And it was like my first non-church girlfriend, right? Like it was a girl from the outside world, right? Right? And so it's not like we were super serious because, it was 15 or 16. But it was down to we wanted to hang out on the weekend, so we went to church with my parents, and there was a speaker there. It wasn't the normal sermon pastor guy, but it was a speaker from outside, and he said, "Well, here in my household, this is what we do. My wife." Every day before she leaves the house, she comes to me wearing the clothes that she thinks are appropriate for her to wear, and I give the final say because I, as a man, would know what kind of temptations another man would feel if he were to see her in those clothes. So there have been times that she would come to me and I would say, that's just a little too revealing, and you would give a man impure thoughts, and I make her go back and I change. That is a true story, and that was the last time that I ever saw that girl. That was it. She was like, yeah, your family's crazy. And they go to a crazy Southern Baptist church who think that women should be treated like objects and have a man say, yes, honey, you can wear that and I'm okay with it. Or no, honey, that's not acceptable. You need to go change. Like if I was to say that to my wife now, I would be bracing for that frosty blast of mace she would probably be sending in my direction. Yeah, honey, you can't wear that. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. Let's go to Sid in Santa Rosa, California.
Hello.
Hello, Sid.
Do you know that most men, I would think, would love a woman with a high libido? Fantastic. And what are these people talking about? They should have Sharia law?
Oh, talk about creeping Sharia that a lot of these conservatives are all freaked out about. Having this male control over a woman and her body and what she does with it, what she wears, and yeah. Hey, look.
I know, but you know what? I want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
That the urge to reproduce, the sexual urge, is like the second strongest force on the planet.
I would be hard pressed to find one stronger than that. What is it?
Gravity. Every species has to reproduce.
Of course.
Sex was given to us as a pleasure. I'm not religious, but I would say to Huckabee, why did God give us the pleasure?
Well, look, look, I'm pro out of control libido in women. Okay, like I'm all for it. I mean, I'm a feminist that way, right? Like, if that means I'm a feminist, I'm burning my bra today, baby. I'm all for it. Thanks for the call, Sid. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from you. And get that damn libido under control. Who do you think you are? Let's go to David in Ames, Iowa. Called 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Looks like we still have a line open if you want to call us there. Let's go to David in Ames, Iowa. David, how's it going?
Hi, yeah. I wanted to comment on Mike Huckabee's total disregard for anything medical that birth control supplied by the government could possibly cure. Any sort of ovarian disease is likely to be helped out with that.
Now, that's a very good point.
He should receive huge flack for that, and definitely maybe be questioned on whether he should be in office.
Look, there are people who are out there speaking about birth control who don't know how the hell it works, and it's usually white men who are out like. You're right. I mean, there are a lot of reasons that women take birth control. It's not just because they have, quote, out of control libidos, and it's not just for preventing birth necessarily, right? Like there are a lot of reasons women take it. The thing that drove this point home to me, by the way, was during the Sandra Fluck issue a couple years ago, whenever Rush Limbaugh, was insinuating that she was a woman of loose morale and would sleep around a lot. And his whole argument was she's having so much sex that she needs all these pills, and she's taking so many pills because she's having so much sex. And it's like, dude, do you think that birth control works by like every time that a woman has sex, she takes a pill? Is that how he thinks it works? Because that's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's not you take a pill every time that you have sex. Like I don't take birth control, but I know that's not how it works, dummy. Let's go to Glenda in Kenner, Louisiana. Glenda, good morning.
Hi. I don't think he has a right to tell women what to do with their bodies, and they shouldn't take birth control. Who's going to support all these children coming into the world? I don't see any Republicans adopting children.
Yeah. I mean, well, look, no, I shouldn't say that. I mean, look, I'm sure there are plenty of Republicans who are adopting children, but I mean, this idea that Mike Huckabee has to come out there as a man and sort of try and shut down the idea that birth control has helped a lot of women and that it exists, or that these women lean on the government, or Uncle Sugar, as he calls it, to get birth control to help their out-of-control libidos, just shows that he's wrong and he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Got time for one more quick call from Brenda in Lansing, Michigan, 866-55-PRESS. Brenda, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, my darling. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
How's your libido? Can I ask how's your libido? Is it out of control?
I'm right now. I'm on the downside of my 50s, but as a younger woman, I had to go through the same fight then. These right-wingers are using the same Sharia law methods that as we call it. I call them the American Taliban.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that title used by a lot of people, and I mean, I think you could draw the parallels between the way that some Republicans and some conservatives want to sort of keep tabs on women and their health, and the way that other countries and other bad people look at women. Yeah, I think that's a fair analysis on a lot of levels.
I just find it sad that I have to fight the same fight again for my granddaughters.
Yeah.
I did this in my turn.
I hate to hear that. Keep it up, though, Brenda. I'm glad you're out there. Thanks for calling at 866-55-PRESS. Still taking your calls. It's Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill today, live Monday, January 27th. Bill will be back tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for being there. One of the reasons Bill's going to make sure he's back tomorrow is because it's State of the Union. He's going to have to preview it. I just got some breaking news just a couple moments ago. The First Lady's box at the State of the Union, where she has guests. She always has, no matter who the First Lady is, has some interesting people. Carlos Arredondo and Jeff Bauman from Boston, Massachusetts, the subjects of the photo where he... Jeff Bauman is the victim of the Boston Marathon bombing, and then Carlos is the man who saved his life by essentially pinching his artery shut while he was driving, or in the wheelchair. Let's see, we got Jason Collins is going to be there, the out basketball player. He's going to be in there, and a lot of other good stuff. So we'll keep you posted on that as we get in. To help preview the State of the Union tomorrow night is editor-in-chief of National Journal's Hotline, Stephen Shepard, joins us on the phone this morning. Morning, Steve. How you doing?
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. So let's talk. Have any themes begun to emerge on what we're going to see in the State of the Union tomorrow night?
Well, the major theme it looks like the president is going to hit upon is the idea of income inequality. It's perhaps Democrats' best argument in the 2014 elections that are upcoming. Really, with the economy sort of sputtering along, stock market Friday notwithstanding, and this year so far notwithstanding, has been doing fairly well, while some of the folks who are in the lower middle class and in poverty haven't been raised up through this economy. This is an issue that Democrats feel like they have a modest advantage on, and so you're going to see some things like perhaps an increase in the minimum wage, things that are really designed to help those at the poverty line and only slightly above it.
It's funny you mentioned the minimum wage. I mean, he's mentioned the minimum wage before, and I don't know that it's gotten a ton of traction yet, right?
Well, that's a pretty resounding theme for most of these State of the Union addresses. A lot of times, particularly for two-term presidents, particularly with Congress also so divided these days, you can mention the same things every year and very little ever gets done.
You mentioned the divided Congress. I'd be curious to see how much of his speech is going to take the tone of, we've tried it with Congress, we've tried working across the aisle, I now have my second term, and I'm going to get some things done with or without Congress. Right.
It does appear that he's going to unveil a number of executive actions that he can take without Congress, particularly EPA regulations, some things that'll touch on income inequality. Obviously there are some pressing legislative needs with the expiration of the debt limit coming next month, but other than perhaps immigration, which I would also expect the president to prod Congress on, there isn't really a lot of hope in the election year for Congress to get much of anything done. So I would expect to hear a lot from the president about what he's going to do from the executive branch.
I always love the the 2 or 3 curveballs that usually get thrown into the State of the Union.
Right.
You know,
famously, President Clinton in the 90s calling for school uniforms, which is a Republican issue. That's sort of held up as the model for this.
I also love the banning human-animal hybrids that George Bush threw in there.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, George Bush also talked about expanding space exploration, things that weren't necessarily, and this happens a lot in the second term. Presidents, particularly the next two for President Obama, but also starting with this one, really looking towards their legacy. And you might hear some things that, first of all, we haven't heard a lot about, and second, seem maybe a little far-fetched or a little out there, don't really fit with the rest of the narrative.
Yeah, I love when they just start throwing haymakers like that. Just like, what? What the hell is that? All right, well, we'll be watching it, and I'm sure you will be too, Stephen Shepard, and I'm sure you'll be tweeting about it at Hotline Steve, at Hotline Steve. I suggest you all go follow him there. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this morning, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take a quick break. We'll be right back. Looks like we still may have some calls on Mike Huckabee. We'll try and sneak one or two in. It's the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn sitting in for Bill. Be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn sitting in for Bill. We have just about 90 seconds before we hit the break. So to get some more of your calls in at 866-55-PRESS on Mike Huckabee's comments about women with their out-of-control libidos and depending on the government for birth control. Carol in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Carol, good morning.
Good morning. This is for Mike Huckabee. It doesn't matter how much birth control there is out there, we're still not going to sleep with him.
Oh dear. Oh dear. That's not nice. Let's go to Alan in Leland, Illinois. If that's anywhere near Chicago, Alan, I hope you're bundled up.
Oh boy, I tell you, I'm glad that women have libidos. I am a proud father, an educator, and I'll tell you, 2 daughters. And if you don't think there is not a Republican war on women, just play that a few more times, and maybe even the Republicans and conservatives will get it.
Look, I love women. I have all their albums. I married a woman. We have 2 kids together. I am pro out of control libido. Okay,
I am pro women and their choices, and Mike Huckabee and the Republicans got to butt out.
And the other thing about this is you know, I can't imagine there's a single woman out there who would hear that clip and say, "Oh, he gets it. He gets it. This is who we were waiting for. This is the guy we were waiting for to speak for women." Like, there's not a woman out there who hears that clip and doesn't just like want to slam their head against a wall and say, "Oh God." Even Republican women hear that clip and just go, "Oh God, this guy just does not understand." Like, they might agree with sort of his sentiment, but he clearly does not understand. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. Olivier Knox from Yahoo News coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Good morning. Happy Monday, January 27th. This is the Bill Press Show. However, I am not Bill Press. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill all 3 hours today and today only. He'll be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, I appreciate you tuning in and finding the show. We are tweeting live at BP Show, You should follow there. Follow along with the program, and I'm still tweeting at Peter Ogburn all throughout the program today. We've got so much stuff to cover. Last night, the Grammy Awards. Who were the big winners? Who were the big losers? Who got married during the Grammy Awards? We'll tell you. Make sure you tune in to this week's show. We'll tell you all about it. Plus, Mike Huckabee still under fire for his comments about women and their out-of-control libidos. We'll talk about that and what the Republican Party can do about this latest war on women from Mike Huckabee. I mentioned the Grammy Awards. The Oscars are coming up in a little over a month. I spent the weekend viewing a couple of different Oscar-nominated movies. I'm going to talk about that. Plus, I got a chance to sit down and watch the new documentary all about Mitt Romney's run for president. I have a lot of thoughts about that. We're going to talk about that with some of our guests. Plus, another day, another deadly shooting here outside of Washington, D.C., close to Baltimore at the Columbia Mall. 2 people dead, including, I should say 3 people dead, one of them being the shooter who gunned down 2 people in the middle of a very busy mall over the weekend. So like I said, a lot of stuff coming up here on the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn. I do hope you stick around with us because we've got so much to talk about. Remember, tomorrow is the State of the Union, so we're going to be previewing that as well. Taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS. What do you want to hear the president say in his State of the Union? We'll take your calls coming up. It's the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
broadcasting around the nation on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show live on this Monday, January 27th. 6 minutes past the hour. Thank you so much for being here on The Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill today and today only. Bill will be back tomorrow. Running the board is Elisa Murphy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Elisa.
How you doing?
The newest hire here on The Bill Press Show.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it working out?
It's wonderful. I really, really, really like it. It's been a great 2014. I've learned so much from you particularly.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
That's all I have.
This is your job review right here on air. If you call 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377, you will be lucky enough to talk to Alicia Cruz. She is screening your calls. Give her a call there. She helped out with our Grammy recap last hour because mid-30s guy, father of 2 kids. I don't really watch the Grammys. Sorry. And if you are watching us on Free Speech TV or on TawkrTV, that is being brought to you by Cyprian Bolding, the man behind the camera, making sure that we're on screen today. Cyprian, good morning to you, sir. And it's like I said earlier, when I host the show, I like to surround myself with very smart people and good content. Not unlike the way that a donut or a bagel takes an empty, vacuous space and fills all kinds of wonderful goodness around it. That's me. My name is Peter Ogburn, and today I brought in Chief Washington Correspondent for Yahoo News, Olivier Knox. Olivier, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me, and especially thanks for having the coffee ready.
Yeah. We had to have the coffee ready. And by the way, a must follow on Twitter at @OKnox, OKNOX. Knox. You should follow him there, and at news.yahoo.com. I appreciate you being there, man.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking off the air because yesterday was my 6-year-old's birthday party. He turned 6 today, so happy birthday, Magnus. But we did it at home yesterday, and anybody that follows you on Twitter knows that you're a proud father.
I am. I as I told you off air, the bad news for you is you're going to be finding like juice boxes and clumps of cake.
Yeah.
In the most unusual. You're like, what in the how did he even reach the top of the bookcase?
Yeah, it was so chaotic. It was so chaotic. We had like 11 kids over, and he's got this Wii game situation now, right? So they just all gathered around. You can play like 4 at a time now. They're just fighting, just warrior style, just to try and get a turn on this.
Well, that's better than real life fighting. I learned a very very important lesson a couple years ago for my kid's birthday, and that is that if you provide inflatable lightsabers, to the kids, they have to be fully inflated because they don't hurt if they're fully inflated. Right. If they're slightly deflated, they become riding crops.
Like plastic whips.
Yes, and then that's a lot less fun. A lot less fun.
That could go really bad.
Yes.
Yeah, that could go really bad. We had a kid yesterday who is like best friends with my kid, and he was the kid that showed up with the potty mouth. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. So he shows up, and like I heard him drop the hell a couple times. I'm like, whatever. Like that I'm not gonna bust his chops over. But he dropped the S.
Yeah.
He dropped the S. And I said, hey, you come here for a second. I can pull him away from the crowd. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, I heard what you said. I said, are you allowed to talk like that in your house? And he thought for a second. He said, yeah. And I said, well, guess what? He said, what? I said, this ain't your house. So you're going to have to go over there and not use that
You
kind
tell
of
that 6-year-old who's boss.
Yeah. Now you go get some ointment for that sick burn, kid. Because I just told you what time it was.
You're going to get a knock at the door through the parents, the kid. You're like, exactly. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, are you a maniac? I was nice about it, but I was just like, look, we don't do that here in this house. So anyway, happy birthday, Magnus. Today's the actual birthday, so... it's a big week here in Washington.
It is.
It's the State of the Union tomorrow night. I want to talk a little bit about sort of what we expect to see and sort of the themes that are emerging. We talked a little bit about income equality as sort of looks like the biggest emerging theme right now.
Mostly because that's how they've promoted this speech. I mean, they've been telling us and others for weeks, like, well, he really, really wants to talk about income inequality. They're trying to make a pivot now from that into opportunity, the idea that he's going to sell this as, I want college to be more accessible. I want you all to have the tools so that you have a shot at entering the middle class. That's going to be a big theme. It's always interesting to hear which audiences are being spoken to at which moment. Mm-hmm. There's the immediate audience in the chamber of the House of Representatives, obviously. There's Americans writ large. There is the overseas audience, and of course, there's the judgment of history. And in a midterm election year, in a president's second term, obviously you're going to hear a lot of campaign-ready stuff from the president.
I think that one of the things that I wouldn't be surprised to hear a lot of when you talk about the different audiences he's speaking, I think he's going to be speaking a lot to Congress, and he's going to be saying, hey, we've tried to work with you, and we've tried to get some things done with you, and we're not going to try anymore. We're not going to try as hard anymore. There's some things we're going to get done without you.
Right. They're looking at a lot of executive actions, a lot of what he can do without Congress. Legally, let me emphasize that. I mean, there's always something of a debate. Now, the challenge with some of that stuff, though, is that a lot of one president's executive order is rolled back by another president's executive order. In fact, in American politics, we have a ritual in which an outgoing president, in the last 12 hours, puts out a bunch of executive statements, and then the next president has to undo them.
Right.
So all of a sudden, it's like, yes, fine, I didn't want to impose those limits on arsenic and drinking water. Stuff like that. But that is a danger here, though, is that some of the things that they're looking at, some of the executive orders specifically, can be pretty easily rolled back. Whereas if it went through legislation, it would be a much harder thing to roll back, as you're watching with Obamacare.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're looking especially at things like there are a lot of EPA rules that are due this summer on existing power plants, which is a huge deal. Should existing power plants have to abide by this standard or that standard of environmental quality? So there's a lot they can do without Congress. I actually think he's going to be speaking heavily in campaign mode, trying to pump disappointed Democrats up ahead of November. I expect women to be one of the primary audiences of tonight's speech as well. And in fact, everyone expects it, which is part of the reason why the Republicans have picked their highest-ranking woman, Kathy Morris Rogers, to deliver the response. They expect women to play a big role in the debate over Obamacare throughout this year. I would expect a bunch of ads, including by vulnerable Democrats, that say, Mark Pryor voted for X, and it helped me because now I get this kind of coverage.
Right.
But it's always, it's always interesting. And of course, the dorks in D.C. will be looking to see which of the regulars have packed those seats right on the aisle so that they can be absolutely sure to be caught on camera.
Elliot Engel is the guy, right? Like every year.
Sheila Jackson Lee, Elliot Engel. There are a few others.
They're camped out right now.
And then there are a couple on the Republican side who always like to make sure that they're in that shot.
Oh,
I guess one of these days we're gonna have to get the secrets of the people who haunt those seats.
I remember last year someone wrote a piece about Elliot Engel, and he literally shows up at 8 a.m. and he's ready. He is ready to get in there and get his damn seat.
There are not a lot of assigned seats in the House of Representatives.
Oh man, it's just mind blowing to me. So when we look at all the things that could be getting done and what he's going to be pushing for, I want to play this clip from Jay Carney, because he was on This Week, not the beard one, because I'm sure you saw Jay Carney shaved his beard. He had a beard and then he shaved it.
If you could somehow take the Hubble telescope and create another Hubble telescope and put them in front of each other and violating all the laws of physics, if you somehow got Hubble squared, you still could not detect my interest in Jay Carney's face. I'm not saying this as a slight at Jay. I just think the minute he came out with that beard earlier this year, I thought, and this is where we humiliate ourselves.
Yeah. No, and
this is where we tweet, and this is where we focus on this, and it's,
Yeah. Well, it's so he was on ABC's This Week, and they, of course, asked him about it. But I want to skip to the other clip, Elisa, the one where he talked about immigration, because he actually said he is hopeful that there can be something done on immigration this year.
On immigration reform, we're actually optimistic that 2014 will be the year that Congress delivers to the president's desk a bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform bill that meets the principles he laid out.
I'm not so optimistic that that's going to happen, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it ebbs and flows. I mean, we in the press have declared it dead a few times and then revived it.
Sure.
It's not really clear. I mean, it is one of those areas where the national Republicans, the senior Republicans and the national figures, they know that the writing's on the wall and that this is going to have to happen in some way, or else they're going to start really suffering in these presidential cycles. It's been very hard for these guys, for the congressional Republicans to give the president what he's after, right? And it doesn't get any easier for them. They can't go home and say, yay, we worked with the president. But we're in an up phase. a lot of people are currently bullish after being, having declared it dead 2 months ago.
Right.
It's very interesting to see. We're going to see whether the speaker wants to move forward. We're going to see whether the committees of jurisdiction want to move forward. I'm also skeptical of this just because it's been through that up and down cycle so much.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another interesting data point for the year, though. In a couple months, we passed that crucial deadline, the primary filing deadline.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of Republicans who are sitting on the fence because they think all it'll take is for me to shake hands with the president and I'll have a Tea Party challenger. Are looking. Some people in D.C. are looking at this deadline and thinking, okay, maybe once this deadline passes and the real danger of a primary opponent is significantly lessened, maybe there'll be more room for discussions about things like immigration.
That's interesting. No, that's a very interesting point because, I look at it a lot of times and say, if they hadn't been given a very clear message that you needed to get immigration reform done after the last election, you're not going to get another one.
But the locals haven't received that. This is the classic problem between the national and the right. House race, right? Where the House race, a lot of these guys are winning by lopsided margins in the general. They're not worried about beating the Democrat. They're worried about someone from the right.
Right.
So they are not getting that message.
So one of the things that I would like to see mentioned in the State of the Union, but I have a feeling might not play a pivotal role or a big role, is the NSA. I think that the president sort of came out and gave what he's going to give in his talk about a week ago. What do you think? You think we're going to see anything on NSA?
Yeah, I think we'll see something on NSA.
Okay.
I think he will address it. I think it's one of the biggest stories of the last 12 months. I don't see how he just glosses over it. There's some reporting today that he's going to nominate a career military guy by the name of Michael Rogers, which is it's only a little unfortunate to those of us in D.C. because the House Intelligence Committee chairman's name, of course, is Mike Rogers. So when Mike Rogers asks Mike Rogers a question, things are going to get pretty horrible.
Malkovich.
It's going to be pretty big. Exactly. I think he does talk about it. I don't think it's a big issue. A lot of young folks are unhappy with the way the president has handled this in the last year. I think they can't get away from that. I don't know if he announces that he's decided to nominate this guy or not. But I do think he has to refer to it. It's certainly one of the challenges of the past year.
What's the next step with the NSA thing? He's given some recommendations. He's talked about some stuff that he's going to put into place. But do you think that went far enough in the eyes of his critics?
I'm a stone cold cynic on this one.
Yeah.
Every big announcement that he made in that speech, he caveated to death. So you will now need a court order. The government will need a court order to go searching through this data or a true emergency.
Right.
So the question is, when these guys are going for this information, are they going to say, we should go to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or should we just say that there's a true emergency?
Yeah.
He was asked to create a public advocate job inside the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Instead, he called on Congress to create an outside body of lawyers that could be called to discuss big and novel issues of law. Basically, everything in that speech, there were enough weasel. We can't do X unless we decide there's a compelling national interest.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be thin at best.
But he's been telling this. In fairness, the president has said over the past 8 months or whatever it's been since Snowden's first revelations that he thinks we've drawn the line where it should be drawn. This wasn't a shocker.
Right.
He's been saying for months and months and months, there's no abuse. These things are necessary. They work. Blah blah blah. Of course, he's not going to say yeah, you know what? You're right. We're going to throw everything out.
Yeah. I don't go as far as Bill says. Bill thinks that Snowden is, the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's glad that Snowden did what he did. I'm not opposed to what Snowden did necessarily, but I do think that the contempt for Mr. Snowden, as the White House has made very clear, Mr. Snowden is very, very clear, and I think he did a lot of damage, and the president is having a hard time recovering from that.
I have a lot of conflicted emotions about what happened with Edward Snowden, but I think at the end of the day,
that's the best way to put it. I think
at the end of the day, though, as a reporter, I have to fall on the side of disclose and publish and the rest of it. But that's not to say that these are easy issues.
Right. 20 minutes past the hour. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill this morning. I brought in Olivier Knox, Chief Washington Correspondent from Yahoo News. Thank you so much for coming in. You're here for the whole hour. We've got a lot of ground to cover, including a very telling interview that the president gave with the New Yorker. We're going to talk about that when we come up next. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number, 866-557-7377. I want to hear your thoughts on the State of the Union, what you think we will hear, what you think we should hear. Peter Ogburn, Olivier Knox, in for Bill Press. We'll be right back.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV, this is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. Enough. Enough.
Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn and Olivier Knox in for Bill this hour. Thank you so much for tuning in. Olivier, I want to ask you about the New Yorker profile on our interview that the president did with David Remnick. This is the piece that the infamous pot is no more dangerous than alcohol came from.
Right.
But as a whole, as the entire piece, I thought it was a fascinating read.
Yeah, it's one of those, we like to say must read. We kind of slap that label on everything, but this was really, really interesting, and I would strongly encourage everyone to read it, just because Remnick got a lot more, a lot of comments from the president that definitely were not in talking points form, and it was interesting to hear the president talk about. Open up is a dicey thing because you never forget that someone's a journalist. But talking about being haunted about what's happened in Syria, when he talks about how he'll consider himself a success if he starts the country down the road on a real debate on income inequality. There was a lot of stuff in there that was interesting. The pot comment, of course. I wouldn't let my son play in the NFL. This was there's a lot of. I don't know if it's unvarnished because it's a political figure, but it was completely fascinating to read that.
There are a lot of quick takeaways from it, and then I thought as a big picture, I thought it was a really, I agree. You don't really let your guard down, but I thought it was an enlightened view of the presidency and the role that he plays in the history and in the future of America. I thought it was really, really well thought
and his
out.
conception of his job and his place too. Saying like you basically, as a president, even as a two-termer, you get to write one paragraph in history, and you got to make sure you get your paragraph right.
Yeah, I love that line in there.
There were a lot of things in there that were really fascinating. It's definitely worth a read.
On the other side of that, this weekend I watched Mitt, the Netflix documentary, which went behind the scenes of his 2008 and 2012 run for president.
I'm dying to see that.
It's a good documentary. It's not a great documentary. It's filled with a lot of moments that I'm sure you will recognize from being there. But there were a lot of moments I was just like, oh, that's what was going on.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's sort of the holy grail of that kind of, we were talking about unvarnished access. Like that political reporters are sort of forever quoting like the senior advisor, right?
Right.
How much better to be in the room with a camera during as the voting returns come in.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from that is that he relied really, really heavily, according to this movie, on family input. His sons were always there. They were giving him constant political advice. It's worth watching if you have Netflix, so check it out.
Well, I'm hoping that, as I told you before, I'm a devout mirther. I think that Mitt Romney was consistently, reliably funny on purpose.
He's very funny. He's very funny.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan, big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill today. Bill will be back tomorrow. Joining me for the hour is Olivier Knox from Yahoo News, a must-follow on Twitter at @oknox. And online, you can follow him at news.yahoo.com. Check it out, Olivier. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, at the end of last week, Mike Huckabee was speaking at the Republican National Committee luncheon, where he had these comments about how Democrats view some women. Here are his comments.
And if the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing for them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it. Let us take that discussion all across America because women are far more than the Democrats have played them to be.
First of all, I'm a big fan of the Uncle Sugar line.
Uncle Sugar.
I love Uncle Sugar.
Yeah, there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah, I mean, I never heard that before. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, he's actually used the term before.
Has he? Okay, all right. I assume that just means big government. Is that the notion, or is
big government as a provider of benefits? Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, last week we talked to Politico's Katie Glick, reporter for Politico, and we are getting an update with her right now. Katie, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
So tell me where we have gone since we last spoke, because Huckabee has sort of come out to defend his comments.
That's right. You know, a little bit after we last spoke, which was, of course, the day after he made these comments at the Republican National Convention, he kind of came out. He issued a kind of an emailed statement to Fox where he just kind of talked a little bit more broadly about how, in his view, sort of the Democrats narrow the debate about, bolstering women to, sort of issues tied to contraception and reproductive issues. And he said that, kind of all he's saying is that the Republicans should take kind of a broader view of, kind of bolstering women in society.
I just want to read straight from what Huckabee says. He said, quote, "You cannot reduce thoughtful discussions to 140 characters and carry on what I would call an intellectually responsible conversation." He then went on to say, quote, "Democrats are the ones who have denigrated women and demeaned them. They are the ones who have made them appear that their real interests are not jobs, safe neighborhoods, and good schools for their kids, and for better country and for more liberty. What they've got to have is a prescription for birth control and getting a free abortion," end quote. So what I didn't see in his explanation of his comments was anything about the controlling of out of control libido. He didn't say anything there, did he?
He is not. Those comments certainly did raise some eyebrows in some circles. I think it's one way of putting it. But he hasn't walked back those specific comments. As you guys noted just a couple minutes ago, he has said things sort of along these lines before. And if you kind of take a look at what he was saying more broadly at the RNC lunch, it was that, as he kind of echoed it in that follow-up statement, Republicans do in fact have kind of a broader vision for advancing women and everyone in society is kind of what he was trying to say there. But that certainly did not stop a lot of people from, kind of seizing on those comments. And, it continues to generate discussion a couple days later.
Katie, as you know, it's Olivier here. It's obviously it's an election year.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, Republicans have said that there is not a gender gap; there's a marriage gap. That married women tend to be more Republican, and single women tend to be more Democratic. Is that what's at work here? And do you think that these comments have legs through November, or is this just a blip?
That's a really interesting question, and that was a dynamic that we saw play out to some extent in the Virginia governor's race, and perhaps that's something that we'll see kind of discussed some more going forward. But I think that to the second piece of your question, this is certainly one set of comments that Democrats will probably reference when they are talking about kind of broader gender issues. We saw right in the wake of those comments statements from the DNC, from Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, other leading Democrats coming out really condemning these remarks because they come. Of course, as the Republicans continue to work to broaden the base, bringing in groups, including trying to appeal to single women and other groups with whom in the last several elections perhaps they haven't done as well.
I've also seen a lot of conservatives who were way out in front of this and just saying like, whoa, let's not have this conversation with Mike Huckabee. We don't need that right now. That's not a good thing to have. So what's the sort of sense of Republicans on what harm Huckabee may have done or those that support him?
We've seen from Republicans in this instance and previously, including from Chairman Priebus at the RNC, sort of saying that we do need that the party does need to be cognizant of its tone and that that's something that should carry out in discussions kind of about some of these hot button issues. And you didn't see kind of direct pushback from the RNC on Friday, but you did see the chairman kind of making this comments again about being cognizant about tone as the party looks ahead to the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just mathematically speaking, there are more male politicians than women politicians, and if you want to get elected, you have to learn how to speak to women, and I'm not sure that that they've figured this out quite yet.
Well, definitely, it's clear that the conversation is still going because this sparked kind of some broader reflection and assessment regarding where the party is on that issue, trying to engage more women.
All right, Katie, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for being there. Katie Glick, reporter for Politico. Thanks for coming on with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
You too. Yeah, I mean, again, this proves to me, right, that a lot of these guys that come out talking about birth control and things like that they just have a fundamental misunderstanding of how it works. Because I would say during the Sandra Fluck stuff, one of the Rush's big comments was, oh, she's having so much sex that she's running out of birth control pills, and she's taking so many birth control pills. She's having so much sex.
Right, the birth control pill is Viagra kind of thing.
Right, every time that a woman has sex, she has to take a birth control pill, which is not how it works.
I think there is an interesting note, though, in Huckabee's comments that Democrats definitely want to pay attention to, which is the idea of defining women's issues as broadly as possible. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to do that this year. I think you're going to see. I hate all the this is the year of the woman or this is the year of the soccer mom, right. But they are really influential at the ballot box, and I think you're going to see a lot of Democrats trying to cast, as I said before, Obamacare. I think you're going to see a lot of Democratic efforts this year to cast a lot of issues as we are on your side, women, married women, single women, yes, safe neighborhoods matter. Yes, the economy matters, especially the economy, actually. So I thought that was an interesting, a little interesting dimension to the comments.
Yeah. Well, Mike Huckabee may or may not be one of the front runners for 2016. I think at this point, it's not going to happen. But I want to get back to what we were talking about before we got on with Katie from Politico about Mitt, the documentary, because it's a sad documentary. It's not. There are some like really cringeworthy moments.
Oh, that's right. I remember I was going to defend my stance here as a
yes. You're
I'm a proud mirther.
Go ahead.
I think that Mitt Romney was consistently and this is important, intentionally funny throughout the campaign. I thought he got kind of screwed by some of the coverage. You know, when he joked about rolling down the windows of an airplane. You know what? He's not confused about how an airplane works.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best example. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I thought he got kind of screwed on that. And I haven't seen the documentary yet, but at least some of the early shots, I feel like he's got this kind of great, rueful, kind of self-deprecating, sense of humor.
He does.
And as with Al Gore in 2000, I think that he would have benefited from letting that show through a little bit more.
Yeah.
There was that moment at the convention where they had the I think it was the family, the couple that talked about how he came to help their dying son. And
yeah.
And I thought, why am I hearing that for the first time?
Right.
And I think that the humanizing element would have probably stood him in good stead.
There were a lot of humanizing moments in the movie. There were a lot of behind the scenes moments where I go, oh, huh. Like that this is a likable side of things. I think that they got so obsessed with control of image. And I know that that's a big part of politics. I don't follow it as closely as you do. And I know that controlling the image, controlling the message is probably the biggest part of what a lot of these guys do. And I think that they just got absolutely drawn in and sucked in to a point where nothing came through. There were some like family moments of him just shooting the breeze with his kids that were so sweet and touching, and you still saw a lot of the roboticisms of Mitt Romney, but they didn't come off that way. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I think it's also, it's interesting that it means that a lot of these high press consultants did not want to let Mitt be Mitt.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of interesting and problematic. When you're running for office, it's hard to really not be yourself for 2 years.
So then that leads us to after he lost in 2012. Where do we go in 2016? And we're going to talk about that after a quick break. We're going to take a break. I would like to get your calls at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Any Republicans out there that you think are definitely going to run? Any Republicans out there that you think should run? Plus, what do the Democrats do? 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Peter Ogburn and Olivier Knox in for Bill Press. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show, 47 minutes past the hour. Peter Ogburn and Yahoo News' Olivier Knox in studio with us. Thank you so much for being here, Olivia. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do this without you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this without coffee.
Well, we're happy to provide. I swear to God, I was looking at the Grammy stuff, right? So they announced this Daft Punk getting, they got Album of the Year and Record of the Year. You know, they're wearing these motorcycle helmets, even at the Grammys. These guys are just, they're dedicated. Like, I think they're a fine band. Like,
They are a fine band.
I enjoyed and they're French, you know?
That's right.
But, I mean, at some point, the whole motorcycle thing.
Yeah, I have to tell you, like, the Grammys are not totally on my radar.
Yeah.
In my house, I think there were 2 TVs in use last night, and neither one was tuned to the Grammys.
No, I wasn't watching the Grammys last night at all. But I look up and I see all this crazy stuff going on. I go, oh, that's the Grammys. Now right. I know why I don't watch it.
And actually, the fact that the great thing about having 2 TVs is that I am unable today to give you an update on the bachelor wedding.
There was a bachelor wedding?
Back when I had 1 TV, I would have been able to do that.
No idea. That's even further off my radar than the Grammys.
Yep.
Yeah. 49 minutes past the hour now. We're taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. I'll talk to Olivier about this. 2016.
Yep.
Where the hell are we? Like, what's going on? Republicans, they seem to be in sort of, I don't want to say disarray, but I haven't really seen a front runner emerge.
Right. Normally, you know, the standard way that this gets reported out is that for the Republicans, it's always about whose turn it is.
Yes.
You know, so it was John McCain's turn in 08. It was Mitt Romney's turn.
And how'd that turn out for them?
Well, not superbly. The interesting thing right now for the Republican field is how the Republican national operation is trying to make it a smoother ride for the front runner. Mm-hmm. That's really the most important thing happening in Republican politics today. It's not Christie. It's not Paul. It's not Jeb Bush and his mother telling him not to run. It's not these things.
A little awkward.
The most important thing in Republican politics right now is how the Republican Party is going about making it a smoother ride for their front runner next time around. Fewer debates. That's going to be a big thing. And it's really going to be interesting because they really did a lot of the sheer number of debates that kept alive a lot of candidates who otherwise wouldn't have been in the race as long as they were. That did a lot of, that is thought to have done a lot of damage to Mitt Romney. Obviously, the fundamentals of the economy are probably more important than any one debate.
Sure. So when we look at Democrats, it's, there's just so much focus on Hillary.
Sure, and as I tell everybody who asks me about Hillary, I say, look, with her name recognition, with her experience, with Bill Clinton, with their ties inside the Democratic Party, with all the money they can raise, she's a shoo-in to be the nominee in 2008.
Perfect.
It's just too early. We don't know. I mean, she does have to kind of be considered the potential front runner, but we just don't know whether there's another Barack Obama waiting to come out of the wings. It's, for Pete's sake, it's early 2014. A lot can still happen,
I've seen so many times if Hillary gets in, she clears the field. BS.
Go put the Wayback Machine on 2007.
It just ain't going to happen.
I think it's really, I think on the Democratic side, it's, even though I think it's right to obsess about, if we're going to obsess about 2016, sure, let's obsess about Hillary, but just take it with a huge grain of salt.
Let's go to Jeff in Hartford, Connecticut. He called 866-55-PRESS. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning. For me, I think it's the issues rather than the candidate. You talked about how his personality didn't come out, but he was wrong on the issues. He was wrong on the Paul Ryan budget, wrong on health care, wrong on immigration. It's the issues.
But we're not saying the issues didn't matter. It's just that what this documentary brings to the table, though, is an unprecedented look at the candidate behind the scenes. I don't disagree that the issues, or as I would say, the issues and the fundamentals of the economy. We're not saying that those things don't matter, though. What we're saying is that what's new about this documentary is the look we get at Mitt Romney.
True, but I just don't. I'd like to think that the American voter voted on the issues and not based on personality alone.
Are there any Republicans out there that you worry about or would like to see run based on the issues that are out there right now?
As a Democrat, I was looking really seriously at Huntsman, and then he was taken out so early. But if Huntsman could get his act together.
That's an interesting question, actually. And that's I heard that a lot from some of the establishment Republicans in D.C., particularly the people in the foreign policy establishment, who were very concerned about Huntsman not getting farther and saying, like, what does it say? He's a businessman. He's got this, he's right on taxes. He has all this foreign policy experience. How did we as a party knock this guy out so early?
Yeah. There was a time whenever he did get knocked out that I thought, like, 2016 is going to be his moment. I thought that a lot of the Tea Party stuff that was flying around out there was going to die off, and a lot of the hyper partisan stuff was going to die off a little bit. And I don't see it, and I don't see he made any attempt to get his act together.
And you have to think that anyone on that side of the field is looking at, can I survive those early primaries? Am I just going to get into this to get beat up, limp into the general, and get taken out by whoever the Democrats nominate?
Right. All right, Olivier, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see what happens, and we'll be watching State of the Union tomorrow night. And if you're on Twitter, follow Olivier at Knox. I'm sure you'll be tweeting during the State of the Union.
I hope so.
That's the thing to do.
Yeah. Everyone does.
Go follow him there. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms: Cubism, Symbolism, Futurism, Constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, all have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Bill Press Show. We are going away off of Free Speech TV in just a little while. The third hour is not carried, but you can continue to watch youtube.com/TawkrTV. youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. Go check it out. You can stream the show live, and we have so much stuff to talk about, including the attacks on Wendy Davis. We're going to be talking to Jess McIntosh, Communications Director for Emily's List, coming up.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show, 57 minutes past the hour. They're usually the president's schedule here, but there just ain't a whole lot going on. He's in full preparation mode for the State of the Union tomorrow night. He's meeting with the senior advisors at 11:15, and he's having lunch with Joe Biden at 12:30. Otherwise, it's a pretty quiet press briefing at around 1:15 today. We were just laughing off the air because I looked up during the break, and on Fox News, they have this guy in with this. It's called a Flemish rabbit. And the damn thing is like, it's 20 pounds. It's the biggest damn rabbit I've ever seen in my life.
A whole lot of bunny there.
It's a giant bunny rabbit. And so I just tuned in, I just looked up and I saw it. And Cyprian is laughing his ass off because I went full redneck. I went full redneck when I saw that rabbit. Hey, y'all, look at TV. Look at that big old rabbit on TV. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mama, look on the TV. Hey, Mom, look at the idiot box. Look at the side of that doggone rabbit. Mama, get out the stew pot. It's the biggest rabbit I've ever seen, though. I'm a man of simple pleasures, okay? And yeah, occasionally when I get excited, I turn a little southern. It's pushed down. It's pushed down pretty low, but it comes back up.
The understatement of the day, maybe.
All right, we have another hour coming up next. We take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Bill Press Show. broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. Good morning, Monday, January 27th. I am clearly not Bill Press. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm here filling in for Bill today, and thank you all so very much for being here. I just couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number, 866-557-7377. Give us a call, or as they used to say in the old days, give us a ring on the old telething. Right there, 866-55-PRESS. Running the board today is Elisa Murphy. Elisa, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. I actually went and saw a movie.
What'd you see?
I finally saw Nebraska.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
It's really good.
I saw two movies this weekend.
What did you see?
I saw Gravity for the second time.
Oh, really?
But I took the children with me.
Did they like it?
I didn't. Yeah, they were all right on it. It's not exactly a kids movie.
Yeah.
But it's very spacey, and they're kids, so they like space.
Yeah.
They're boys. So they dug all the space shots, but it's a little intense.
Yeah. Have they seen Spaceballs?
Yes. That's our new favorite movie because they just, at the beginning of the year, they put it out on the Netflix.
Oh, really? See, that's a classic.
It's on Netflix streaming, and I swear it is amazing because I used to watch it like every day.
Oh, wow.
For there was a period of 2 months or so that my friends and I would come home from school and we would watch Spaceballs because I had it on VHS. And
not on beta, VHS.
No, girl, we went VHS. We were a VHS family. And so it's amazing, God, 25 years later that I put it on and I'm just right along with it. I remember everything. And my kids love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
They loved it. I saw Gravity and then I saw Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, did you? See, I haven't seen that yet.
A ton of swearing.
Yeah.
A ton of drugs. A ton of nudity. So it's like a typical weekend for me. I felt very comfortable going to see the movie. It's phenomenal.
See, I'm a huge Scorsese fan.
Yeah.
And so I have to see it.
Well, here's the deal. Bill is he's in full-on hate mode. Why? Not because of anything objectionable with the movie. It's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Which I respect. I get that. And I will say, there is a moment in the movie that's 2 hours in, and I was like, whew, man, that flew because I thought it was ending.
Oh,
you
really?
You think it's over, and then it goes on for another hour. And that was the first time that I go, oh, we should have another hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I never felt like it dragged.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good movie.
I end up liking long movies. Like sometimes I've been in a movie where you want it to go longer.
Yeah.
And so I am a person where if it's a 3-hour movie, it is kind of a benefit. If it's good.
Here's the move. This is what you got to do. And this is what I did on Friday. I went in to, it was like the 2:30 show.
Okay.
Don't go to one of these 7 o'clock shows because forget it.
Yeah.
You go in at 7 or 7:30, you got the 20 minutes with the previews, and then you're looking at midnight.
Yeah.
Go at 2:30.
Hit the matinee.
2:30, you do your previews, right? And then you do your 3-hour flick, and then you're golden. You get out in time, you go grab dinner. It was great.
Yeah, I definitely want to catch that.
Go see that. Our number is 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. If you didn't write that down, have somebody remember it for you. You're going to have to call us. We're going to depend on your phone calls at the beginning of this hour as we talk about Mike Huckabee and his continued war on women. But if you call that number, you will be speaking to Alicia Cruz, who is screening your calls, who you might have seen at the top of the show join me in the studio to talk about the Grammys. I've talked all that I really care to talk about the Grammys. I think I've had my Grammy moment. I'm done.
But Imagine Dragons did win as well. Do you like Imagine Dragons?
No.
Okay. That might be a band I think you might like. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know any of their music.
It's more like progressive alternative. You'd hear it on.
I like rock music.
Yeah,
That's usually what I go to.
It's pretty good.
Radioactive.
Is that the name of the song?
Yes.
I'll listen to it during the break. When I imagine Dragons, I imagine Dragons would not like the band Imagine Dragons.
I think you might be onto something.
What a
there.
silly name. It's 2014. We got a band called Imagine Dragons. I mean, just on the name alone, I'm not going to listen to it. And, of course, on the video, keeping us on the video is Cyprian Bolding, the guy who's making me look so good if you're streaming on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR, youtube.com/TAWKR TV. I'm just looking at some of the. I'm not going to talk about the Grammy winners. I don't even care. I don't even care. Hey, the Super Bowl is this coming weekend, and the big. It's not a scandal, but the big story is they're having trouble selling tickets to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. First of all, who wants to go to the? Like, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, I feel sorry for you. Like, it's chaotic. The security is crazy. You're not going to get to see the commercials, which are like the best part of the whole thing.
And not to mention the weather.
All right. So they're predicting right now there's like an 80% chance of precipitation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the open air stadium.
Oh, my goodness. So are they thinking of changing it to Saturday?
If it rains, they'll keep it going. Their big thing, I think, with the Super Bowl was that if it was going to just snow like crazy and be blizzardy, like the Green Bay San Francisco game early in the playoffs. If it was going to be like that, they may have they had a contingency plan, but I don't think they're going to move it. I think they're going to keep it.
Okay.
They're going to make them play in the rain. And then this is the rule, right? Whenever I become supreme leader of the world, I'm going to
Wait, I thought you were already.
No, well, in my mind I am, obviously. But when I become supreme leader, I will say the Super Bowl can only be played in 3 cities: Miami, New Orleans, and San Diego.
They should.
That's it.
A great idea.
Because the Super Bowl is not about the game, right? Like when you don't go to a city because it's going to be a great place to watch a game. Media folks, the teams are there. They're in New York now. It snowed in New York over the weekend. And you're going to be running around. You're going to be going to parties. If you're journalists, you're going to be going to meet and greets. You got the whole media Radio Row, which sometimes is outside. A lot of times it's not, but sometimes it is if it's a nice weather. So you got a whole week of activities, and it's chaos. It's chaos.
Well, and especially if you can think about all of the packages they could make if it was kind of a nice destination place. You would have families then buying tickets to go to Miami for a few days and really maybe up the attendance that way too.
Breaking news, by the way. All good points. Breaking news. I just got this from Politico just now. Congressman Trey Radell, the congressman who got busted buying coke, he will resign from Congress today.
Oh, wow.
That is according to multiple sources. He was caught buying cocaine in November from an undercover federal agent in Washington, D.C. He spent about a month in a rehab facility. This is not good. This means that he probably... well, I don't want to speculate.
Yeah, I wonder.
Screw it. I'm going to speculate. Either something worse is going to come out, or he had some sort of a relapse or something like that. I hope that's not the case.
I wonder if he made it through rehab.
Well, he did. He came back to Congress and said, "I've done my rehab and I'm ready to go." But I would imagine that if he's resigning now, sort of unprompted, something else has happened. And look, I hope he gets the help that he needs. That's a hell of a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the breaking news from Politico. Congressman Trey Radell from Florida says he's multiple sources saying he's going to resign from Congress today. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and we will be talking about tomorrow when Bill Press is back. Okay. So, speaking of stupid decisions by Republicans, Alicia, go ahead and grab that Huckabee clip because we played this on Friday of last week. Mike Huckabee speaking to the Republican National Committee, their luncheon that they had on Thursday. He was talking about how Democrats view women. According to him, this is how he thinks Democrats view women. And this is what he had to say.
And if the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing for them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it. Let us take that discussion all across America because women are far more than the Democrats have played them to be.
By the way, shout out to Uncle Sugar, y'all.
Uncle Sugar.
I mean... that's something I hadn't heard of. And Olivier Knox, who was here in the last hour, sort of made clear that this is a term that Huckabee has used before. It's sort of the big government, his term for big government doling out benefits to people.
Okay.
I guess it's the updated version of, welfare queens, these. So that's just how that's what he put out there. But I think the most damaging part of that is his acknowledgement that he doesn't understand how the hell this works, how a woman's reproductive system works. When he says, I'm quoting, Uncle Sugar coming in, providing them with a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido. I am not a woman. I have many women in my life. I love women. I have all their albums. But when you talk about birth control, I am pretty sure that women don't take birth control to control their libidos, to push down their sexual urges. It's 2014, and you've got a guy out there who was at one time a serious candidate for president of the United States talking about women controlling their libidos. And you could, one of the defenses of what he said is this is just part of a larger conversation. And, we know that this is not what women want, but this is how we view Democrats view women, which any way you look at it is pretty silly because it just expresses a fundamental misunderstanding of how this works. Women don't take birth control to control their libidos. I've mentioned this last hour during the Sandra Fluck stuff. Rush Limbaugh, when he was saying, she needs to get the government to buy her birth control because she's having so much sex that she's running out. Guys, that doesn't work like Viagra, right? Women don't take birth control every single time that they have sex. It's not something that they take every single time that they have a sexual encounter. It's a daily thing, and then they're good. I just want to make sure if any white Southern Baptist Republicans are out there listening that feel like they need to speak to a woman's reproductive rights, maybe take that, okay? Take that to heart, because that's not how it works. And there are a lot of reasons why women take birth control. It's not just about preventing birth. Trust me, I'm an expert on women. But my biggest question is, what the hell did he mean? I read this over and over again, and I hear the comments, and it just doesn't make any sense. And I can't imagine that there is a woman out there who is politically active, hell, any woman, who hears these comments and go, here's our guy, we got him. This is what we've been looking for. This is our savior. This is our spirit ally who gets the women's rights movement, or the fight for women to be covered for their specific healthcare problems or healthcare issues. This is our guy. It's crazy. It's crazy. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. 866-557-7377. My name is Peter Ogburn. I'm sitting in for Bill. I really do want to get your calls on this. 866-55-PRESS. We got a lot of calls when we talked about this earlier. I expect to see you all there again. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back talking more about Mike Huckabee and his comments about women with their out-of-control libidos. By the way, if you are a woman and you have an out-of-control libido, talk to me, baby. I'm right here. 866-55-PRESS. You go to the front of the line. Peter Ogburn in for Bill Press. Be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show. Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, filling in for Bill today. I tweet at Peter Ogburn, O-G-B-U-R-N. You can follow me there. I tweet about all kinds of crap. Some political stuff. I do a lot of food crap there too. Whatever. Follow me or don't. I don't care. Talking to Mike Huckabee and his comments about women and their out of control libidos. That's what he said. Women, the Democrats talk to women like they need birth control to help control, because, quote, they cannot control their libido. That's what he said, not me. Taking your calls on that at 866-55-PRESS. Mike in Madison, Wisconsin. Mike, thanks for calling in, buddy.
You bet. You know what, Peter? This is just like a Republican, especially governors, to project their values and what they really feel onto another party or person. And it's just amazing that in his message, he shows that his disdain for women. And so it's like, unless you're a Stepford wife, I don't believe this falls on women. They just know better than what these guys are doing. They know which party stands up for their right to choose, and that's a dead issue, but they just keep beating it, and as long as they do, things are always looking up as long as the women show up to vote.
866-55-PRESS is our phone number. Thanks for the call, Mike. I mean, progressives should be out there screaming, yes, we want more comments from Mike Huckabee. Go on, Governor Huckabee. Tell us more about your thoughts on women and birth control. Keep talking, because it just shows he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And let's just get this straight. I am firmly in the camp of women with out of control libidos. Okay? Like, I'll make that very clear. Ladies, there's nothing wrong with you. If you think you have an out of control libido, you're just fine in my eyes. Okay?
I need some medicine for my libido.
No, you don't. You're good. Dwayne in Hartsville, South Carolina, my home state. Dwayne, good morning.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for taking my call. I think you're slightly misinterpreting Huckabee's point.
Go ahead.
I think what Huckabee is saying is that because women cannot control their libido, they go out and have sex constantly. And therefore need to have birth control. And they want the government to pay for it. He, of course, completely misses the point. And I think that the counter to this argument is that the conservatives who do support the fact that Viagra is paid for by insurance are saying that men, once they get old, can't live without the little guy and want the government to pay for their boners.
Thank you, Dwayne. That's a very good observation. Look, I know of Mike Huckabee's background. He's a Southern Baptist preacher. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and you will not find a more repressed group of individuals than those who go to Southern Baptist church. You've heard that joke, right? About why don't Southern Baptists have sex standing up? Because they're afraid that people might think you're dancing. right? Like, it's such a repressed group. And I'm sure that this mentality of a woman who has sex before she's married for reasons other than procreation is acting out of line, and she needs to get herself under control. Need to get that libido taken care of. Yeah. 866-55-PRESS is our phone number. I'll continue to take calls on this a little bit later on in the show, so go ahead and get them lined up now. And again, ladies, without a control libido, you go front of the line. Up next, we're talking to Jess McIntosh, Communications Director from Emily's List. A lot of stuff to talk about.
This is the Bill Press Show. on your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is The Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill Press today, Monday, January 27th. Thank you all so very much for being there. I couldn't do it without you, ladies and gentlemen. Calling at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377. Give us a ring on the telething if you have something to say. See, I went full puker this morning with the, give us a call on the, you just a bit outside. Yeah, you know, I'm working on it. 33 minutes past the hour. By the way, on this is the last thing I'm going to say about the Grammys today. I looked up, and Fox and Friends has a big thing. Their headline was Chicago and Robin Thicke rocked the Grammys. So it's Chicago, a boring band from the 1970s, and Robin Thicke, what's his Dr. Seaver's kid, Alan Thicke's kid. And they teamed up to if you got excited about seeing that collaboration on the Grammys last night, I feel very bad for you.
I bet when the Grammys pitched the idea to Chicago, they were even like,
Chicago?
What are you talking about?
Oh, Chicago, what's the downside for them? They're probably thrilled. But, I mean, to you, the viewer, I mean, who gives a rip? Ay. Jeepers creepers. 34 minutes past the hour. Communications director for Emily's List, Jess McIntosh, joins us on the phone. One of our favorite guests. And, God, there's so much stuff to talk about. Right, Jess?
Yes, I get so tongue-tied when the next Republican gaffe comes up because I feel like we've already talked about this stuff. Like we already lived this in 2012. Like we did this election already, and I think we're going to do it again. So I like the way that one turned out. We're kind of looking forward to the next one.
It is amazing that mathematically speaking, there are more male politicians than women, and that these male politicians have to learn to speak to women and represent women, and they just can't help themselves when they get in front of an open mic.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, you can't teach somebody to speak in a way that betrays their own ideology. Like, they're just not going to be able to do it for long enough. Like the mask is going to slip. So what we're seeing here is that, like, despite all of the sensitivity trainings or whatever it is that they're doing for their members and their candidates and their surrogates, there is and I'm not going to apply to the entire Republican Party, but,
sure.
but there is a loud and large strain of the Republican Party that just does not understand women and doesn't trust them. And that is going to come out in their language.
I think that is, you hit the nail on the head, because Mike Huckabee's comments, most recent comments about his comments, and I'll just read his quote verbatim. If the Democrats want if the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it. So what prescription drugs are out there that women are chasing down to help control their libido?
Well, this was like the Republican pushback on the Huckabee point was that he was saying, no, Democrats think this insulting thing about women. But if you flip it, what he's saying is that the Republican Party know that women can control their libidos all by themselves. And missing the entire problem that a woman we're saying libido, that's just ridiculous right now.
Right.
Let's just acknowledge that we are using the word libido and move on to the rest of this conversation. But a woman wanting to have sex isn't a problem, guys. And the Republican Party keeps treating it like it is. Now, 58% of women use contraceptives for non-contraceptive purposes. They have other ailments that the pill is really quite good at handling. But the ones who are taking it as birth control aren't doing anything wrong.
Right.
They don't have anything to fix.
That is that, Huckabee comes from a Southern Baptist background, and I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I told this story earlier, and you'll appreciate just how disconnected the Southern Baptist church is. This was less than 20 years ago. This was probably 15 years ago when there was a guy that spoke at the church that I was raised in that said that every single morning every single morning, his wife was a daycare worker. She would get dressed and then come to him and say, honey, is this okay for me to wear, or do you think this would give any impure thoughts to anybody that I might come across in daily life? And he had to give the official word on whether or not she was okay to go out in public dressed like that. And it was a whole group of people just like, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's my wife would not be able to slap me fast enough if I was so dumb as to think that I could pull some S like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just a real disconnect between this worldview that you're describing and the reality of American women today. And it's why we are seeing these historic gender gaps in elections. It's why you get, Ken Cuccinelli losing the single women vote by 42 points.
Yeah.
Like, women could not possibly be louder about rejecting this. It is actually the 21st century. So not only are they wrong on this issue that they won't stop talking about, they're prioritizing the wrong issue to begin with. Women want their government to talk to them about their economic realities. Equal pay is the number one workplace issue for women, and Republicans are opposed to that. Women want to see the minimum wage raised. Our idea of the teenage grocery store clerk making minimum wage, that's not the reality of most minimum wage workers. They're women. So we want our government to be talking about the things that are going to make daily life just a little easier to take care of yourself and your kids and your families. And instead, not only are we getting this insulting rhetoric, we're getting it about issues that we don't want to be discussing anyway. Birth control is not controversial. Let's just put that away.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, one of the ways to combat this stupidity that's out there is to put more women into elected office, which is what Emily's List is all about.
That is my favorite way of combating it, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot more productive than just sitting here and sputtering, which is what I would be doing otherwise.
So we've talked to you before about the Madam President program at Emily's List. What's the latest with that, and what's the goal, so we can get it out there for anybody who hasn't heard of it?
It's exciting. So after 2012 was really a mandate for women's leadership. We elected some fantastic women. They were kind of the standard bearers for our party. Elizabeth Warren and Tammy Baldwin were the folks the Democrats were really excited about that election. And women's issues, of course, were front and center. Women voters came out in droves. So we wanted to make sure that conversation extends all the way to the White House. We've never had a woman president. We've never had a woman nominee. There are some really fantastic women who have answered to senator and governor and secretary and who are frankly ready to be considered for that next step. And they're not all Hillary Clinton. I mean, we love Hillary Clinton. We hope that she does it. I think she's the strongest choice for the party, male or female. But I want to make sure, and Emily's List wants to make sure that this isn't about one woman, one cycle. We want women in the mix for the White House forever and ever. So there's no more polls where you poll Hillary Clinton and then a bunch of guys. For every Martin O'Malley, I give you an Amy Klobuchar. For every Andrew Cuomo, there's a Kirsten Gillibrand. Janet Napolitano was the governor of a red state and then a cabinet secretary. If a man had that resume, he would automatically, we wouldn't even think about it. He'd just be on the short list. So the Madam President campaign is about, raising awareness about the women that could do this job, that are going to do this job at some point in the future. And we're taking it to battleground states. So this week we're going to Las Vegas with a town hall in downtown Las Vegas. And if any of your listeners are in the area, come check us out at emilyslist.org and come join us. It's a really fun conversation. Real, old-time campaign Q&A from the audience. Talk to Catherine Cortez Masto, who's the Attorney General in Nevada, and a rising star, someone who should be on the watch list for, 2020, 2024. She'll be joined by Bill Burton and Emily's List President Stephanie Shriak. So it'll be a really good conversation.
Nice. Yeah, if you're around, definitely go check it out. And if you're not around, I mean, what do you need? An excuse to go to Vegas? Well, there you go. There you go. Well,
we tried to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So really quickly, we talked about the Madam President and putting women into higher office, and president would obviously be amazing. But there's also one woman running for governor of Texas, Wendy Davis, who has come under some criticism from certain conservatives for her life story. And I think this whole gold digger narrative that a lot of them have put out, that Ann Coulter flat out called her a gold digger because her now ex-husband helped pay for her to go back to school, and that this somehow implies that she was only in it for the money, which is sick, I think. Just a sick narrative.
Oh, it's so grossly offensive. I have a hard time with this one. The knock on the narrative is that, she inflated her up from the bootstrap story and, neglected to mention that she had a husband who helped. Well, I mean, let's take a look at it. She did have, she was a single mom by the time she was 19, 20. She goes to college. She puts herself to community college. She puts herself through Texas Christian with the aid of scholarships, graduates first in her class. During that schooling, she gets married, and she and her husband, who she was married to for 18 years, they have a daughter together, she and her husband decide to cash in a small chunk of his savings to help get her advanced degree from Harvard Law. They take out joint loans, which they jointly repay. I mean, there's just so nothing there to support that kind of virulent language, or the picture that they're painting. And I think, frankly, they're going to lose Greg Abbott, Wendy Davis's Republican opponent. They're going to lose him the votes of women that he should have gotten.
Yes,
it is so deeply offensive.
Yes,
I mean, I'm married. If you told me that my husband's interest and ability to help support things that I'm doing to, in fact, increase the family's income level, if you told me that meant somehow he was my sugar daddy, I mean, and now I'm sputtering again. This is why we need more women in office.
Yeah, it's and it's just one of those things that when you're married and if you do go down the path of getting a divorce, you're still in it. You know what I mean? I mean, you still want to, in a lot of cases, want to see that person do well. And
Jeff Davis is clearly very proud of the work that Wendy has done, and the two girls, are very close with both of their parents. This is not the kind of narrative that they should be looking to pick apart. I think a lot of Texas women identify with Wendy Davis's story. It is extremely powerful. Her mom had a 9th grade education, was a single mom as a teenager, and then Wendy going down that same path, but she turned it around, and you can't take that away from her. Yeah. They started trying to say that there were holes in the bio because she said she was separated. She said she was divorced at 19, when it turns out she was separated at 19. Yeah. I think women everywhere are going to hear that and just roll their eyes.
Yeah, exactly. They're kicking the break.
Final.
Yeah. All right.
So she's doing great, and I think she's going to make it through this, no problem.
Go, Wendy. Go, Wendy. All right, Jess, I appreciate it. Jess McIntosh, Communications Director from Emily's List. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Jess, you can follow Jess on Twitter at Jess_MC. I highly suggest you follow her. She's very entertaining. Jess_MC, and find out more online at emilyslist.org. My name is Peter Ogburn, filling in for Bill. Quick break. We'll be right back. Maybe taking some more of your comments on Mike Huckabee at 866-55-PRESS, 866-557-7377.
This is the Bill Press Show. on your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. My name is Peter Ogburn, sitting in for Bill today. Thank you all so much for being there. I seriously couldn't do it without you. By the way, I've got this like pizza cake hangover thing going on because yesterday was the birthday party for my kid Magnus. He's 6 years old today. 6 years old today. So happy birthday, Magnus. 6 years old. He's the baby of the family.
Aww.
And so this is he's like a boy now. He's not a kid.
Little boy.
It's
6
freaking
years
me
old.
out. It's freaking me out now. Yeah. So happy birthday, Magnus. I wanted to play this. Oh, by the way, I want to get back to something that someone mentioned on Twitter. I said that when I become supreme ruler of the world, I'll mandate that all Super Bowls must be held in Miami, New Orleans, or San Diego. Lawrence Congdon on Twitter asks, why not hold the Super Bowl in Los Angeles? The weather is certainly right. They certainly have the infrastructure there, but they don't have a football team. And like that's always been the big rub on LA is like they don't have, like they should. They don't have a football team. So like I don't know. I think it's kind of tough to justify that. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. The State of the Union is tomorrow night. The president will be addressing Congress and the nation. What will he say? What will he say? Well, Ted Cruz has something he would like to hear the president say. This is him on one of the Sunday shows.
One of the things President Obama really ought to do is look in the TV camera and say to the over 5 million Americans all across this country who've had their health insurance canceled because of Obamacare, to look in the camera and say, I'm sorry. I told you if you like your health insurance plan, you can keep it. I told you if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And that wasn't true. I'm sorry.
All right, who cares? He drives me crazy. He drives me crazy. It's just the same crap over and over again with him. Let's go to, we're talking about Mike Huckabee and his problem with his war on women. You know, this whole idea that, you know, women need to control their libidos. Let's go to Keith in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or Milwaukee. Keith, welcome to the Bill Press Show.
Or make that Radio Free Milwaukee.
Radio Free Milwaukee.
Yeah. Peter,
what's happening?
You know what? I just had a grandchild. I wish they would have named him Magnus. Where'd that name come from?
We believe in giving our children names of destiny, and we named Magnus after the 7 kings of Norway. Because when we met Magnus, when he arrived, he has extremely blonde hair. And the kid looks like a ghost. I mean, he's like translucent practically. He's so white. And so he looks, I am of Norwegian heritage. So when we saw him, we said, he looks like a King Magnus. So that's where we got the name.
Well, we'll have to check back 25 years from now and see how that worked out. You know, Mike Huckabee's little talk on Thursday was so wrong on so many levels, you could call it high-rise nonsense. The thing in particular that I want to point out that the GOP does all the time and has done for years is this idea of bogus self-empowerment. I mean, this is what this thing is really all about when you look at it, this notion that, hey, what's wrong with you? If you can't afford your own birth control, you have a problem. I mean, they do it with, well, the grandfather of it all was IRAs, you know, taking away pensions from people and saying to people, well, you can control your own destiny. And so I think what they do is they play on people's inadequacies by running this little scam. What do you think?
I think that's a very, very good way to put it. We got to run over it really quickly. Keith, so wrong on so many levels, you could call it what?
High-rise nonsense.
High-rise nonsense. Look, I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that. I love it. All right. Keith in Milwaukee, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you calling in.
Care.
Yo. You there? All right, no, we got to go. We got to go to break. Sorry about that, Keith. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. It's the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn sitting in for Bill. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
It is the Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn sitting in for one last very short segment. Bill will be back tomorrow. It is the State of the Union Day tomorrow. We're going to be previewing that with all of our regular Tuesday guests, Arthur Delaney and Igor Volsky. Plus, we'll be joined by a friend of Bill, our good friend Peter Fenn, and Congressman Dan Kildee will be in studio as well. So we hope you're there with us as Bill rejoins the show. I think we're going to hear a lot of inequality talk, income inequality from the president. I think you're going to see a couple of comments about how they're going to push things through on their own without the help of Congress. It's going to be a very interesting State of the Union, but don't just take my word for it. Tune in tomorrow as we preview it, and of course, tune in all throughout the week as we bring you highlights and commentary on that. YouTube.com/TawkrTV and on Twitter @Peter Ogburn and BP Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.